Hey, listen to this. You ever been blindsided? Like life just swerves and slams you into a wall you didn't even see coming? That was me, standing right here in my own Upper West Side apartment, clutching a water glass so tight I swear it was about to crack. I wasn't supposed to hear it, you know. Just walking past our bedroom on my way to grab a snack in the kitchen. Then, Sarah's voice, drifting out, soft and low, like secrets in the dark. But not for me. I don't even want to hug him anymore. Then she laughed. A brittle, cold laugh, like ice shattering. A laugh that told me everything was already decided in her head. I froze. She was on the phone, sprawled on our bed, back to the door. Legs crossed, ankles swinging, like she was lounging on a beach, not detonating my life. Couldn't move. My pulse hammered in my ears, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the apartment. My grip on the glass tightened, knuckles white. Her voice dropped to a whisper, but I still caught every word, sharp and clear, like shards of glass. I know, it's just... I don't feel anything when he touches me. It's like I tolerate it, you know? A pause, then another soft, knowing laugh, the kind that chills you to the bone. Of course I want to. I just have to be careful. Another pause, longer this time. He's not stupid, I exhaled, slow, controlled, trying to tamp down the inferno that was erupting inside me. But it wasn't just the words. It was the tone. That casual indifference, that smug certainty, like she wasn't just rejecting me, she was already discarding me. Like I was some kind of joke. For a split second, I wanted to burst into the room, rip the phone from her hand, demand answers, force her to say it to my face. Who the hell was she talking to? What did she mean, be careful? But then something inside me shifted, went cold. Confrontation wouldn't change anything, wouldn't unhear what I'd just heard. No, I needed something else. She didn't want to hug me anymore. Fine. She wouldn't have to. Didn't feel anything when I touched her. Perfect. Because from that moment on, she'd never feel my touch again. She thought I was clueless, predictable, a guy who'd either explode in anger or crumble into pathetic pleas for her love. She had no idea what I was capable of, so I did something I never thought I would. I turned around, walked back down the hallway, set the glass of water on the kitchen counter, carefully, deliberately, so it wouldn't break, and I let her words sink in, like slow-spreading poison. From that moment forward, Sarah didn't exist to me. She wanted distance. She was about to learn the true, soul-crushing weight of it, and when the time was right, she was going to regret every single word she'd said. The beauty of silence, you know? It can be the sharpest weapon in the world. I didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't argue. I just stopped. Stopped asking how her day was. Stopped reaching for her hand. Stopped making any effort at all. I became a ghost in my own home. And at first, she didn't even notice. Too wrapped up in her own little world, texting, smiling at her phone, humming to herself as she got ready for work. Probably thought I was just tired, distracted, or in one of those moods where guys just shut down for no reason. Perfect. She didn't suspect a thing. At dinner, I sat across from her at our little kitchen table overlooking Central Park, eating mechanically, no small talk. She barely glanced up from her plate. At night, when she used to curl into my side in bed, I rolled over, leaving a cold, empty gulf between us. She didn't say a word. Not yet. A week went by. Then she finally started to notice. "Hey," she said one morning, as I rinsed out my coffee cup. "Are you okay?" I turned my head slightly, met her eyes, and smiled. Yeah, why wouldn't I be? It was a real smile, technically, but not the kind she was used to. Nothing warm about it. She blinked. "I don't know. You've been quiet." I shrugged. "Just been thinking about things." That was it. No further explanation. She hesitated, waiting for me to elaborate, but I didn't. I just grabbed my keys and walked out the door, leaving her to wonder. Let her feel the uncertainty. The same uncertainty I'd felt standing in that hallway, hearing my wife say she didn't even want to touch me anymore. The little cut started. Movie nights used to be her thing. We'd curl up on the couch, share a blanket, and watch whatever rom-com she picked. So when she came home one Friday night and found me already watching some gritty cop drama alone, I saw the flicker of surprise on her face. "You started without me?" she asked, a little too brightly. I nodded. "Didn't think you'd be interested." Didn't pause the movie. Didn't scoot over. She stood there for a second, then sat at the far end of the couch, awkward, tense. Good. The next day, I got home late. Later than usual. She was waiting, arms crossed, leaning against the kitchen counter, the city skyline twinkling behind her. "Where were you?" she asked, her voice tight. I shrugged, setting my keys down on the granite countertop. "Out." "Out with who?" "Just a couple of people." Her frown deepened. "People?" I met her gaze, my expression unreadable. "Yeah, people I met." Then I walked past her, leaving her alone with her thoughts. For the first time in a long time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Worry. Doubt. She wasn't used to being ignored. She was used to me caring, asking, fighting for her attention. But I wasn't playing that role anymore. She wanted me to be background noise in her life. Fine. She could try living in the silence. The cracks began to show. 2 weeks in, I wasn't just quiet. I was absent. Physically there, but emotionally, mentally, gone. I moved around her like she was furniture. Spoke in short, polite phrases. Never initiated conversation. And slowly, subtly, she started to break. "Do you want to go out for dinner tonight?" she asked one evening, trying to sound casual, like it was no big deal. "Nah," she hesitated. "We could try that new place you were talking about last month." That was a test. She wanted to see if I still cared, if I'd jump at the chance to patch things up. I didn't. "I'm not really feeling it," I said, then went back to my book. Back. The next morning, as I was getting dressed, she reached out, lightly touching my arm. I flinched, not dramatically, just enough. Enough for her to notice. Enough for her to feel the rejection that had been seeping into our home, poisoning the air. She pulled back as if burned. The first real fracture. She was starting to feel the weight of my absence. The beginning of her desperation. A few nights later, I heard her in the kitchen, aggressively wiping down the counters, the clatter of dishes a little too loud. A nervous habit, and I smiled. Let the games begin. Then she did something unexpected. She grabbed a bottle of wine and 2 glasses, walked into the living room, and set them down on the coffee table. I glanced up from my phone. "What's that?" I asked flatly. She gave me a hesitant smile, a weak, watery thing. "Thought we could have a drink together. We haven't in a while." She was trying to mend something she didn't even realize she'd broken until it was too late. I stared at the wine, then at her. Then I stood up. "I'm heading to bed," I said, stretching, deliberately casual. Her face dropped, not dramatically, but enough. I saw the flash of disappointment, the panic quickly masked. I left her sitting there alone with 2 glasses of wine she would now have to drink by herself. And that's when I knew she was starting to understand, starting to feel it. The loneliness, the emptiness, the slow, suffocating realization that she wasn't special anymore, that her presence didn't excite me, that I could go entire days without thinking about her. And it was killing her. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to her softly shut the cabinet doors as she put the wine glasses away. For the first time in a long time, I slept soundly, because this was only the beginning. It happened sooner than I thought. Her desperation had already started to show, small cracks in her carefully curated indifference. A glance that lingered too long. A question she repeated because she hadn't really been listening, too lost in her own guilt. She wasn't used to feeling ignored, but she still didn't know that I knew. That changed 3 weeks after I overheard her talking about not wanting to hug me anymore. That was the night I confirmed the affair, the moment the truth hit me, solid and undeniable. She'd been careful, I'll give her that. Late-night texts deleted, her phone always face down, extra time at work, subtle lies spread out over months. But she wasn't careful enough. One night, I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone when I saw it. A notification popped up on her screen while she was in the bathroom. A single message preview. "Tonight was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." The sender's name? Just the letter M. I stared at it. My heartbeat didn't even spike. I'd already suspected. This was just confirmation. She came out of the bathroom, towel drying her hair, oblivious. She didn't see the phone light up. I didn't say a word. But something shifted in me. Up until that moment, I'd been playing a slow game, psychological withdrawal, letting her feel the weight of her own choices. But now I had leverage. Now it was time to break her. The first real strike. The next morning, I called in sick to work. She left for her office downtown, blowing me a half-hearted kiss like everything was normal. I waited exactly 20 minutes before I opened my laptop and got to work. Step 1, find out who M was. It didn't take long. A quick look at our phone bill showed a pattern. The same number, over and over, late at night. Then I cross-checked her social media. Her profile was private, but people are sloppy. They like their routines. And just like that, I found him. Michael, a mid-level executive at some finance firm she worked with. Handsome in a polished, fake kind of way. A guy who probably thought he was untouchable. I scrolled through his profile, staring at his carefully curated life. The expensive vacations to exotic islands, the tailored suits, the smug smile of a man who thought he was winning. I almost laughed. He had no idea that the game had already changed, the gathering of evidence. Over the next few days, I became a ghost and a hunter at the same time. I did what she didn't think I was capable of doing. I tracked their messages. There are apps for everything in this city. I followed her once, keeping a safe distance in my car as she worked late at a fancy hotel in Midtown. I even placed a small GPS tracker under her car, nothing illegal, just a simple Bluetooth device that let me see where she went. And the final piece, I hired a private investigator because I wasn't just going to expose them. I was going to obliterate them. It took less than a week for the PI to get me everything I needed. Photos, texts, even video footage of them entering and leaving the same hotel room I'd tracked her to. I had it all. And I could have confronted her right then, could have thrown the evidence in her face, watched her stammer and beg, caught her in her own web of lies. But that would have been too easy. She had taken her time destroying our marriage. I was going to take my time destroying her. The trap is set. The night before I made my move, she did something unexpected. She sat next to me on the couch, close, like she was trying to bridge the vast chasm she'd created. "Hey," she said softly, almost shyly. I looked at her, expression blank. "Yeah?" She hesitated, then bit her lip, a nervous tick I used to find endearing. "I feel like we've been off lately." She actually had the audacity to say that. "I guess," I replied, non-committal. She sighed, a theatrical little sound. "I don't want us to drift apart." "Drift apart? We were already miles apart, sweetheart. You just hadn't realized it yet, so I did something cruel." I smiled, soft, reassuring, the way I used to. And I said, "Neither do I." Her shoulders relaxed. She looked relieved, like she'd just won something. She thought she had me back. She had no idea that tomorrow would be the worst day of her life. The reveal. I waited until she was getting ready for bed before I struck. She was in the bathroom brushing her teeth when I placed the envelope on her pillow. Inside, everything. Every text, every photo, every screenshot, every lie, neatly printed and compiled. She walked back into the room, humming softly, then froze. Her eyes darted to the envelope, then to me. "What's this?" she asked, her voice tight, barely a whisper. I didn't answer. I just watched. She picked up the envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Then she started flipping through the pictures, the texts, the undeniable proof of her betrayal. Her breathing became shallow, ragged. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Finally, she looked up at me, her face pale as death under the soft bedroom light. "Where did you—" Her voice cracked. She didn't finish the sentence. She knew. It didn't matter. I had caught her, and she was completely, utterly, helplessly screwed. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees, and let the silence drag out. Then I smiled. But it wasn't kind. It was the smile of a man who had already won. "You don't have to hug me anymore," I said, my voice calm, almost gentle. "You don't have to pretend." She opened her mouth, maybe to deny, maybe to beg, but I held up a hand. "I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to ask why. I let the words sink in, let her feel the weight of them, because I don't care anymore. The final blow, the kill shot. She sucked in a sharp breath, eyes glistening, fingers tightening around the envelope like it could somehow shield her from the storm she had unleashed. She'd braced herself for anger, a fight, maybe even desperate pleas. But what she got instead was worse, complete and utter indifference. And that was what shattered her. Because in that moment, she knew. She had already lost me. Regret is a slow poison. It doesn't kill instantly. It lingers, festers, spreads, until it consumes everything. I saw it take hold the moment Sarah laid eyes on the evidence, the way her breath hitched, her fingers trembled, her face drained of color, leaving her looking like a ghost in our own apartment. The unraveling had begun. The guilt, the slow, inevitable destruction of the life she thought she still had. And I was going to watch every second of it. First came the panic. She tried to play it off, her mind scrambling for an escape, a lie, something, anything to cover her tracks. "Wait," she stammered, holding up the envelope like it could erase what was inside. "This isn't... You don't understand. It's not what it looks like." I laughed, a real, genuine laugh, humorless and cold. She flinched at the sound. "Not what it looks like," I repeated, shaking my head. "Come on, Sarah, don't insult both of us." Her mouth opened, then closed. She knew there was no way out of this, so she changed tactics. Her eyes softened, her voice wavered. Suddenly, she was the victim. "It was a mistake," she whispered, voice trembling. "I wasn't thinking. I never wanted to hurt you. I swear." I tilted my head, feigning curiosity. "How many times?" She froze. I let the silence stretch, made her sit in it. She was debating whether to lie, but she had to know if I had all of this, I probably knew everything. Her lip trembled. "For months," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. That number. It hit different. I already knew, but hearing it from her lips, seeing the shame twist her expression, it made it real. I nodded slowly. "Months of mistakes. That's impressive." Her eyes welled with tears. "It wasn't like that." She tried again, stepping toward me, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. Just a small movement, almost imperceptible. But it was enough. Her entire body tensed, and that was when it really hit her. I didn't care. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't pleading. I wasn't trying to hold on to anything, and that was far more terrifying than any rage she had expected from me. The cold shoulder. That was what broke her. The next few days were a masterpiece in indifference. I didn't leave. I didn't argue. I didn't react. I simply existed in the same space as her, cold, distant, untouchable. And she hated it. First, she tried explanations, excuses, staying close to me like proximity could somehow fix what she had already set on fire. She made my coffee in the morning. I poured it down the sink. She asked if I wanted dinner. I ordered takeout for one. She sat beside me on the couch, acting like nothing had changed. I stood up and left the room. Each little rejection cut her deeper. She thought I would rage. She thought I would scream, call her names, demand answers. But I did none of that, because she wasn't worth the effort. and I made sure she felt that. The night she truly broke, I heard her crying in the kitchen. Not the quiet, performative sobs meant to pull sympathy. No, this was real. The sound of a woman unraveling. I stayed in the living room, flipping through my phone, pretending I couldn't hear. She was breaking apart just a few feet away from me, and I did nothing. Then finally she snapped. She stormed into the living room, hair messy, eyes red, voice shaking with rage. "Are you seriously just going to ignore me forever?" she shouted, hands clenched into fists. I looked up, met her eyes, and smirked. Yes. One word. That was all it took. Her whole body tensed, like I had physically struck her. "Why won't you just yell at me?" she demanded, voice cracking. "Why won't you fight? Get mad? Do something!" I set my phone down, leaned forward. "You don't deserve my anger," I said, my voice calm, even. "You don't deserve my time. You're nothing to me." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was stupid," she whispered, voice choked. You thought I'd never leave." I finished for her. "You thought I'd always be here? That no matter how many lies you told, how many nights you spent with him, I'd still be waiting, like a fool?" She swallowed hard, breath shaky. "I was wrong." I exhaled softly, shaking my head. "Yes, you were." That was it. That was the moment she realized she had lost. Not just our marriage, not just me, but herself. I gave her 2 more weeks of silence. 2 weeks of her desperately trying to pull me back in. 2 weeks of her living in the wreckage she created. Then I made my final move. I packed my things. Not all of them. Just the essentials. Just enough for her to see that I wasn't coming back. She came home that evening to find me zipping up my last bag. She froze in the doorway, eyes wide, like a deer caught in headlights. "Wait." She didn't move. "Where are you going?" she asked, voice small, lost. I didn't answer. She stepped closer, hands shaking. Can we talk?" I picked up my bag, slung it over my shoulder, and finally, I looked at her, and I smiled. The same cold, indifferent smile I had given her the night I handed her the envelope. We already did. Then I walked past her. She didn't follow. She didn't try to stop me, because she knew there was nothing left to say. She wanted space. She wanted excitement. She wanted to be free of my touch. Now she had everything she asked for, and it was the worst punishment I could have ever given her. Regret is a shadow that never leaves. It lingers in the quiet. It echoes in the spaces where love used to live. It suffocates, making every breath heavier than the last. And my ex-wife, Sarah, she was drowning in it. I made sure of that. People say revenge is best served cold. But this was better than revenge. This was justice.